machine and you see this message, this is intentional and by design. It's called a nag for a reason. When an operating system or a piece of software constantly wants your attention and it's not warranted, you call it a nag. The rest of the video will be the normal process that causes this and why it's obviously a nag, and then how to get around and fix it. But you have to go through the first steps first. The first step in getting rid of Windows Defender is understanding you shouldn't do this. You'll see this all over the internet. It is a Defender program that's reasonably well written. The trouble is, it's extremely aggressive with the user, and it will not get out of your face if you install a competing product. This is anti-competitive behavior on the part of yet another Microsoft product. Anyway, you start by doing the start button trick of trying to run Defender. This is actually the normal way of doing it. It doesn't actually work, and you're not uninstalling it, you're turning it off, which it doesn't like. Then we go to the next step. You run Defender. After you've run it, you have Windows Defender going. And by the way, I want to point out, what I saw today is it had all of this up on the screen and said, would you like to start Windows Defender? And instead of me being able to go to Tools, because the button is right there, it grayed it out and wouldn't let me tell it no. This happened after I turned off Windows Defender because I don't want it running. It doesn't offer any protection for my system, and in fact, it complains about me running my web browser. I don't give a damn why. I mean, I've already investigated it. It's because I didn't give it the permission it needs to get some sort of authentication code off of the internet that doesn't exist anymore. The version of Windows Defender I can run on Windows 7, or any version, can break, or in my case, be outdated and not be able to be replaced. So the only option left is to rip it out. But beyond that, it did that when it was brand new when I had Windows 7 originally. It has to have a whitelist, as they call it, of programs it trusts. Well, if Microsoft Corporation doesn't want your company to make any money, they're not going to put you on the trust list unless you pay them money. Conveniently, this is an antitrust behavior. Anyway, you hit Tools by running Windows Defender, and you'll get this screen. You want to hit Options, and then after that, you want to hit the Administrator button. You can also disable a bunch of settings in here to completely geld it if you want to, but it'll bitch all the way and ask for reboots, and just hit the Administrator button. When you do that, you can click Don't Use This Program. Now, this is what I did in another way. I did it 3 different ways to make absolutely sure it wouldn't run. I ran a variation of Tweak UI called Windows Commander or something like that. It's a utility that does what Tweak User Interface, Tweak UI used to do, which is let me have access to the settings that Microsoft Corporation intentionally hides. It's for administrators and computer geeks to set up a computer by clicking a set of settings and even setting collections by saving a backup copy of the things you're doing to change the operating system. And this can speed up the computer greatly by turning off services. Windows Defender at the time was crapping out, so I turned it off. I mean, I don't normally have to deal with it. It doesn't do anything most of the time, and I don't do anything that would set it off. But I've also given my computer permission to tell it to go to hell. But again, I turned off its ability to harass me over my web browser. Again, it's a competing product. Microsoft Corporation is going to lie to you about it being broken. And yes, I've tested it. It's literally something they do. Anyway, there's no updates anymore, so here we go. Let's move on. User account control. By the way, I turned that off, but normally it'll bring up MSASC UI. That's the Microsoft account something. Anyway, it's a file on the hard drive, it's under a directory, and it's part of Windows Defender. And it's resetting the settings to turn itself off. Now, the user account control, which is a separate product, actually does work well. Do you want to allow the program from, quote, an unknown publisher to make changes to the computer? Now, I want to point out, that's a Microsoft program that didn't register itself with user account control as a Microsoft program. And guess what? The program that user account control is stopping is a program that requires that you register everything with it. Now you see why I'm not wanting it to run. Anyway, you would see this error message. I turned off user account control a long time ago because I just simply set other settings to keep system from being broken into. But anyway, after that you hit yes. You can also do show details. Change when these notifications appear if you want to click that button. Would let you turn off UAC partially. Let's move on. After that, you have to go into Windows Task Manager and kill off windefend because it doesn't really turn itself off. It's also known as that other program name, again, this file called MSASCUI, and various other names, and SECSVSS the VCS, Security Services abbreviation, otherwise known as Windows Defender. When you kill the process as a service, and the process over on this tab here will have the aforementioned program because it'll keep running. It doesn't really turn itself off. It sits there waiting for you to turn it back on because it's aggressive. It is ignoring your order to shut off because it wants to keep running, because it wants to do this. Every time you restart or at random, it will interrupt what you're doing, steal your keyboard and mouse, and make you deal with this. Windows Defender, which I've just turned off and told it not to run, this program is turned off. Obviously, you're lying because you're running. I've turned you off and you won't turn yourself off. If you're using another program that checks for harmful unwanted software, use the Action Center to check that program's status. Again, it's a competing product with Windows Defender, and Windows Defender has to give you permission to run a competing product. This is the definition of anti-competitive behavior. No, if you're Microsoft fanboy, do not even post your comment. It'll never show. You're the kind of people who show up in the help forum saying, why would you want to do that? Because you have no answer and you want your stupid points for the day. You want your karma, I think they call it in many places, which is a stupid name because you're fishing for e-points. If you would like to use this program, here, click it, turn it on. Now that's ambiguous. It means turn Windows Defender back on. It is not talking about turning on your alternate program. And again, it wants the Action Center to check the program status, meaning Microsoft Corporation hasn't blacklisted it because it's a better product. And yes, if you install certain virus scanners and malware scanners and firewall replacements, the operating system will scream bloody, squirting murder about you doing it. So here's how we get around it. After you click close and go through and kill the process again, you have to go in here and kill every routine. You're going to have to look them all up. I'll have a list below of the ones I can find. After you've done that, you have to install the Windows Defender Uninstaller by raymond.cc. Now, raymond.cc a while ago got taken over by some piece of software or company. You have to go to majorgeeks.com/files/details/windows_defender_uninstaller.html. And that will give you the copy I used. This is how you're supposed to do it. Now, you can manually go through and find the program files, Windows Defender directory, and erase it and all that. But this one removes Defender Service, Windows Defender Service is deleted, removing Control Panel entry, which should be done last, by the way. Defender Control Panel entry deleted, removing Windows Defender registry keys, and then it also says removing the Defender program dead last. What you want to do is get it completely out of memory and tell the operating system not to look for it anymore, and then delete it. So, yeah, removing the service and the panel entry should be right before erase, but it doesn't matter. This program works very well, and it gets rid of it. And again, I didn't want to completely remove the damn thing because I didn't want to. I wanted to be able to turn it completely off, but leave it sitting there so I would have my computer resources left open. I wouldn't have RAM crashes caused by it, and I wouldn't have it deliberately helping Microsoft Corporation being even more of a monopoly. But then it wouldn't fucking shut up about me turning it off. Again, the complaint it made was, you turned me off, and I don't like that. Would you like to turn me back on again? I mean, there's a freaking date joke here. Anyway, if any of you were looking for this, I can't find any other videos on YouTube explaining how to do it using this program is turned off. You know, if you would like to use this program, click here to turn it on. Windows Defender. That's going to be the title of the video. Now, the instruction lists I'm going to give are for Windows 7 and Windows Vista. I'll try to find the ones for Windows 10 and 11. The update, it'll say update, or it'll just have a newer link that will go to an archived copy of how to do this on every one of the operating systems from Windows 10 backwards. Right now, I just have Windows 7 and Windows Vista listed. And coincidentally, as soon as I looked at a page that explained this clearly and linked to the raymond.cc file, where I could just run it and it would do the job for me, that page closed. And then this popped up. It saw me looking up how to rip it out by the roots, and it fucking closed the window. Now, I'm not being paranoid here. This is something the program is able to do. It does it. There's videos on YouTube of the Windows Defender fighting you uninstalling it. It acts like fucking HAL 9000. Anytime a program does that, I normally just shut it up because the program works well. If you're not having problems with it, that's great. But the instant you tell it to do anything, it gets very snippy. And if you turn it off even for a few minutes, it screams at you. And if you try to completely turn it off and make it clear you're turning it off permanently, it does this. It says no. And that's not acceptable. Any program or any computer that disobeys you is wrong. Don't you ever put up with that. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with it. I hope this video has been informative, useful, and I hope it makes you maniacally laugh while you click the get out of my face buttons.